Hello, and welcome to Cardboard and Plastic. Today's video is going to be a top 25. I'm choosing 25 because this video is going to be long enough. I don't need to separate this into 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts. And it's going to be a different top 25. The top 25s or top 50s you've been seeing, most of them are based upon value. For people new into the hobby, I think it gets a little depressing because a lot of the big top 50 hundreds you've been seeing are from people that have been in the hobby for 20, 30, 40 years. And you could buy Babe Ruths and Lou Gehrig's and Ty Cobb's for pennies on the dollar back then than you can now, just because of the price of vintage. And a lot of people, because of that, they've been putting out their not top 50, right? So cards that mean something to them, have sentimental value, that maybe are cards that you can afford, right? Like a beautiful $50, $100 card that a lot of collectors would love to have in their collection. My video is going to be neither of those. My video is going to be the top 25 cards in my collection that would lose value if I cracked them out of the slab. So, for instance, this card here. If I took this card, I cracked it out of the slab, and I sold it raw, it would lose very little value. People want this card, I could take great pictures of it, and it might even sell for the same price of inside the slab, right? One of my favorite cards. Now this card, both of these here, these, like Michael Jordan, this card would lose very little value if I took it out. And really a PSA 9 is the way to go. If you want to buy this card, like a PSA 8 or 9 is perfect. The reason I'm showing you this card is I bought dozens of these, and I got about, I think, well over 5. I think I got like 5 to 10 PSA 10s of this card. And this is how I funded my collection. Basically, my collection is free. Well, it is free. I'm probably net positive on my collection with all the cards I have. When I entered the hobby, I took cards like this. I took cards like this as well. I got 2 10s on this card, and I bought them for like $25, and the 2 10s I sold for over $500. And I also got involved in NFTs in the beginning. So NBA Top Shot alone, I made probably about $10,000 on that, getting involved, and I just kind of sold those off. I think I made about $5,000 to $10,000. I still have $1,000 in the Panini NFTs. I'm taking that out. They actually changed how you can take money out now, so I'm going to buy a nice card with that. And what I did is I just kind of graded with PSA and sold the cards, and like then it got like too long, and I just graded that card with CSG. It was a beautiful card, and it just stays in my collection. Maybe it could have got a PSA 10, and I could have made a lot of money with it, just kept on submitting to PSA. But that's all I need. I just need a really nice card, and I slabbed that up for $8. Now, the reason I have these 2 cards, I sold one of my 91 Upper Deck SP Jordans that had a 10 on COMC, and then I got both of these cards from COMC for the Jordan. Actually, I had money left over. So a beautiful centered Walter Payton and a beautiful Kareem. Not an LA jersey, but that's a great autograph. Those National Treasure cards are gorgeous. So what I'm going to do is show you 25 cards that would lose quite a bit of money if I crack them out. So you're going to see a common theme in this, right, is you're going to see cards that are PSA slabs. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll clear out some room here. So, first card, and I actually bought this one recently. I actually got a really good price on it. I paid a little bit above what a PSA 8 goes for from an auction. Just be careful with auctions if you're selling cards now. I would just buy it now. Just let the card sit, and then, somebody might make you an offer. But that is a 1986 Fleer, the PSA 9s. They used to go for a lot more money. If I cracked it out, I wouldn't lose that much, right? I mean, the 8s and stuff still go for about $180, $100. I think that's like $180. But I would still lose a good $80 if I took it out of the slab. This is one of my childhood dream cards. So I got back in the hobby, I bought this one raw. It's way off-centered. By the way, it's still in the PSA 9 guidelines. Like, you can have cards this off-centered if the rest of it's perfect. And the rest of it is basically perfect. But if I crack that out, I mean, that's like a $5, $10 card. They still go for like 50, 60 bucks, I believe, in 9s. This one I don't think would grade an 8 these days. I mean, the centering left to right is pretty horrific. This card with Lawrence Taylor, I'm a big New York Giants fan. Depressing year. I think we're on quarterback number 4 right now. And this is kind of like these PSA 8s. Like, I bought these cards for like 20, 30 bucks. You put them into 8s, and then they go up to like 100 bucks. I have a beautiful CGC 7.5 that I am going to keep in that one. I'm going to get rid of. And this is like kind of like by next year, I think about half of these cards I'm just going to get rid of, right? Some of these, like, if they just, like, this card is beautiful, right? So I'm probably going to keep that. But like a card like this, I mean, this is an old, this is an 8 for the Gary Carter rookie. It just is a little bit like slanted with the cut, right? So I don't think that would get an 8 again. This card deserved an 8. It's beautiful, George McInnes, but because of the lower pops with this one, I mean, you could get a really nice 5 to 6 for like 30 bucks nowadays. But once they start climbing up into the 8 region, I mean, they go for well over $100. Here's another childhood card that I graded dozens of, and I got probably about 20 PSA 9s on this card. I sold almost all of them. I was buying for $10, grading for $15, and selling them for $100. I kept one of them. I don't know why. I'm probably going to get rid of that one too. I have a CGC 7 that my dad bought me when I was younger. And I slabbed up for sentimental reasons. And like, why do I need 2 different versions of the same card? This card I graded just recently. Tarkenton PSA 8, 1965 Philly. Very undervalued cards. I think I bought this one raw for like 10 bucks. The last one sold for 120 because of the 8 label. Another 1986 Fleer. You can get a Joe Dumars in a 7 or an 8 for like $30. Really reasonable price card. A couple cards that didn't make it. I have a few 1988 Fleer. Stockton, Miller, Rodman, and Pippen rookies. And even the PSA 9s, I was shocked like how much they came down. Some of those are like 80, 90 bucks for PSA 9s. I would still recommend a PSA 8, but pretty decent prices. And this is you're not going to find centering much better than this for these 1984 tops. Howie Long rookie. But again, because the PSA registry, people want those, right? So the 9s and the 10s go for double, triple what they really should. Here's a card I graded recently. I bought this for like $2, $3 off of ComC, and I spent 5 times the amount of the card grading it, and now it's worth $100, right? So that's what we do with grading. And I'm grading a lot less. I'm very picky unless something is, like I take a loop out and it is perfect. I'm really not setting them into grading unless it is like a $100, $200, $300 card. This one I graded way back when I first started. This one here with the centering, little issue with the corner down there. Maybe it gets a 5 today. It wouldn't get lower than that, but it's a beautiful card. Maybe it gets a 6 again. But as soon as you take it out of the slab, definitely lose some value. This is one card. It's hard to find them centered like this. It's a beautiful card. But if you get a 6, you're not going to pay what a 7 goes for. I think the 7s are going for close to $200 for that Franco Harris rookie. This is a card, $10 I got from ComC, right? Well over $100 in that slab. Here's one that I think I showed recently. I don't even think this gets like I think it gets like a 6 at PSA, maybe. It's that corner. It's not like a bend or anything it's just like a little bit of wear in that corner. But yeah, it's like somebody would still buy that because it's in a slab. Even like there's people in the CGC that go for the registry. So the registry for the CGC is, for some of the high-end cards, they go for decent money. That is one of the 2 cards I have from CGC, CSG slabs. One later on I'll show you as well. This card's ridiculous. This card I paid $1 for. This is a $1 card. Sent it to PSA, got a 9, and I think the last one sold for like $180. Do you need a 9 there? That bad, I guess. This card, I have a CGC 6.5, which I'm keeping. It's the same exact version of this card. Everything is like the color is similar. The cut, the corners are the same. Like they're mirror images of each other. Just because though this is in a 7 slab, you're going to be paying $180 if you want to buy it right now on eBay. This card is special. I didn't buy this. I traded somebody for this card with another card a couple years ago, before like people really appreciated SGC for the vintage, or the, not like truly the vintage, like always the pre-war stuff. SGC was respected. But this card, I mean, that is gorgeous centering with it, but it's an 8.5, right? So if you want a high grade, even in a SGC slab, you're paying good money. This is not a nice 8, but it's an 8. So I'm going to try to, like, this card it's hard to find centered. Good luck. There's just certain cards from like the 70s, like the Ozzie Smith, the Eddie Murray. These things are just impossible to find, even better than that. But it's an 8. I'd rather have a nice 7 that's centered better. Here's a card. I graded tons of these. I got 7s after 7s after 7s, and I finally got an 8. And it was kind of like a game for me. I made money off of almost every single 7. So it didn't cost me anything. Actually, probably net profited by a lot for the chase to get it. I wanted to get a 9. So I kept on buying raw. I got an 8, and I kind of just stopped there. I'm like, okay, game over. I don't think I've looked for a Ricky Henderson rookie card after I got that 8. It was kind of just like a goal. Like, can I get an 8 or a 9? And then I got an 8, and that was it. This card I bought, I had 7s from PSA, SGC, CGC. This is another card. I just kept on trying to get an 8, get an 8. I never got one. I did buy one, though. So the 79 tops. I bought this one for a little bit over $200 on ComC. So with that, I mean, they go for the new cert number sometimes close to $300. So, like, did I really need that? No. It does have beautiful centering. By the way, people are going to say, like, oh, it's tilted the image. It got overgraded. Look at the 9s of that card. Every single one of those cards is tilted a little bit. It is what it is. All right, 4 cards left. This card is a card that I think was graded very fairly. It's probably worth a lot of money, but I'm going to keep it. I've shown this in the past. It's a 8.5 Gaylord Perry rookie card from the 62 tops. I mean, it is a gorgeous card. It deserves 8.5. Now, when people say like SGC overgrades cards, that is the top pop. And actually, I owned both of the top pops. I owned the 8.5 and the 8 from that. And there's like, I think like 90 something graded with CGC. And I think I sold the 8 for like $300. By the way, I bought both of the cards raw for about, I would say $120 combined, right? So $60 a piece on average. And that card is just going to stay in my PC, right? So I'm not part of a registry, but I'm not going to find a nicer card than that. However, there are maybe somebody with a CGC registry that would pay big money for that, or somebody would see that 8.5 like, you know what? If I crack that and it gets an 8 or a 9 at PSA, I made a lot of money, right? So they would take a risk and purchase that card. All right, the last 3. Now, all these other ones, right? And some of those you might say like, oh, right, that card is like, I would pay that much money for that card. It's a nice card. Or like, it's not that big of a loss if you crack it out, right? These next 3 cards are worth a lot of money. And the only reason they're worth a lot of money is because of the PSA 10 slab. And I have graded lots of PSA 10s, and I think I sold every single one of them. These 3 I kept. So, number 1, this card I've shown before, but if I crack this out of the slab, I turned a $900 card into a sub $100 card, right? So the only reason this card has value is that label right there. And kind of funny about this, I've shared this in the past, whenever I grade cards like this, I always put like the worst ones in the front and they get better as they go on. So in the same order, I had these 2 cards. And notice the cert numbers. This is 40, this is 41. So when I put them together, I had them in this order. So I thought that this card was going to grade higher than this card. So this card is $100. This card is $900. So I'm eventually going to get rid of that. I should have got rid of that in the past, but eventually I will. I'm going to try to fund a really nice card in 2025, a few. And that's what I'm really going to kind of focus on 2025 is kind of doing some of my player collecting of ungraded cards. I'm going to grade a lot less. And I'm going to get rid of a lot of my graded cards to go after some bigger cards in the hobby, right? Some cards I'm going to keep. Like I'm going to keep that Henderson. I'm going to keep that Smith. But like, this is good enough to have. Like, I don't need anything better than that. And by the way, the 9s are relatively cheap compared to even the 8s, right? So, like, that's good. 2 left. This card, I've showed it before a lot, and I'm going to keep this one. Even though this card, I got this in a lot. I think it was like $100 to like $120. And this was one of the Kirby Puckets in the lot. This is when I first started collecting. This was one of these cards I needed to have when I was young. I wanted this card. This was even bigger for me than like the Roger Clemens, even being a Yankees fan. This card has perfect centering. And kind of like I told the story before where when I got this was in a lot of other cards. And I graded a few. Like I have, still have a few of them. Like his 1985 Donruss, I think got a 9. At the tops was in there too. So it was just like a bunch of Kirby Puckett cards. This card is somewhere, I believe, like $1,200, give or take $200. Amazing, perfect centering. But again, right, there's probably 9s out there that are just as nice. For me, though, this is kind of the game I play is I like to try to find those raw cards and grade them and get the good grades and have them in slabs. Now, I really don't care if it's a PSA or a CGC. Like, it doesn't bother me, but the values of the CGC, the PSA compared to like SGC or CGC for 10s or Beckett's 9.5s, it's just out of control. And the last one, I have a bunch of 9s of this card still. And the reason I'm keeping the 9s is I have to get rid of this card. This is the lowest pop of even like the gold and the Flair Update Kirby Puckett. I believe this is like $400 to $500 for the pop 10. This one is still well under $300. And I bought this card for $40 and I graded it and it looked really nice, right? By the way, people are going to really freak out when I show them this. By the way, go look at every single 9 of this, look at every single 10 of this card. And if you look close, every single one of these will have a defect. It will have a print spot on it. And one of the most common ones is the one with the E right there. So if you take a look at that little yellow fisheye, there is, I haven't seen a perfect PSA 10 of this, right? So they allow like a print defect like that for this card a lot of times. And most specifically like that one right there. Like I've seen that on like 5 different of these PSA 10s. But I mean, it's a gorgeous card, but it's not perfect, right? And maybe a grader would see that and like, nope, that doesn't deserve a 10. And they would give that the same card a 9. So if I crack this out, I just turned I don't even know what they're going for. At one point, I should have read this. They were going for like $3,000. I think now they're going for like 1,800, something in that ballpark. A lot of them just don't show up anymore. They're going into collections of people showing off or going into PSA registry collections for this set. Like everybody trying to get a whole set of 10s for the 1988 Fleer. So, in the comments below. Let me know, do you have cards that are in your collection that you know if you crack them out, they would be worth less money? And are those cards that you are really saying, like, do I really need those cards? Am I going to try to get rid of those cards? And personally, that is like my whole thing for 2025 is I'm going to look at a card and I'm going to say, do I really need that high of a grade? Or, right, could I just get like a lower grade and replace that card? And the majority of the cards that I'm going to keep, I'm going to look just like that Yogi Berra. I'm going to say, if I crack that card out, it doesn't lose value. So that card is fine to have on a slab because the slab is not giving it much additional value. I would love to hear your comments below. And again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Keep on collecting.